performance objectives.
Dae Miles and Valerie Fairbanks.
Do you do any study of exchange rates, and so you can anticipate what countries tourists might be coming from and such? Like we definitely see it this summer with the low value of the dollar.
It's bed and breakfast. And I think it solely equates to the position of the dollar to the euro. I think that Alaska this year, or the United States as a whole, was a bargain for the Europeans. And I think that just because we have had this influx of international visitors, because of the euro, they want to come, but we can't let up on our marketing, because if the shift happens that they become equal to each other, then we're once again competing with all the other world destinations that the Europeans travel to.
Valerie Fairbanks, Wolfgang Falk. Dae Miles.
My name is Dae Miles. I've lived here 32 years. I've run for office for the last 16 years. I've always brought up issues like public transportation. Specifically, I've testified that we need to structure our bus system so that tourists can use it. They're used to using it in other countries. So we can bring tourist dollars directly to local businesses. Years ago, I ran a restaurant called Get a Meal for a Song. I had reindeer stew. All of a sudden, I got swamped with tourists wanting to see the local musicians and to try reindeer stew. I'm against the sales tax, especially the idea that we need a seasonal sales tax to get the tourists. I don't agree with that philosophy at all. Thank you.
The community, to our national parks, to the Princess hotels that I stay in, full of tourists, and always interact with them, and I enjoy it all summer long. What I hope for is more in the winter, where we can be having opportunities to expand winter tourism. I think that's the next place we should go, besides outside and look at the Northern Lights, which I hope we work to keep as a destination issue for Fairbanks as opposed to Canada. Thank you.
Any questions?
I love to talk with tourists and ask them, do you know about the Alaska dividend? Because it's a key difference between us and other places. And I'm always amused at their impression of it. They pay you to live here, or some other kind of statement like that. And then I can segue into explaining economics. No, it's not a direct thing. They invest the money, and it's the return that goes equal to everybody. And so I definitely enjoy that. In my own businesses that I've run in the past, my Get a Meal for a Song restaurant with the reindeer stew, that definitely brought the tourists right to me, and that was a big part of my income. Most of the rest of my income with that restaurant was helping young people create music and other things. It didn't bring in a lot of money, but the tourists definitely did. Thank you.
Special tough question for guys out there.
Same question?
Same question.
Well, I'm sort of been puzzling over the question, but I'll tell you that this last year, since I was off the assembly and I had...
The answer would be yes, with the current revenue structure that we have in our local government. It works, and the ordinance is in place, so that's how I feel about it.
I agree with Tammy that it comes from the visitor industry, and it should be, the whole amount of it should go back. We've had all kinds of fights on other people trying to get that money just because it's a revenue source. Thank you.
Well, yes, I agree with it. However, if the whole amount goes back, then you have to somehow subsidize the Carlson Center and a few other things that are done by the other 35% of it. But the 65% is a result of a lot of thrashing around on the assembly a few years ago. I was there, and so I support it, yes.
Valerie there.
Well, I think because you're taxing yourselves that you should get a bigger cut, and I don't think that we should use the bed tax money to subsidize local government, and I see that happening quite a bit, especially on the city level where they're using it to help pay for police and other general government, and I don't think that's what the intent of the bed tax was. So I'd like to see it increased.
Well, in conclusion,